Thaksin Shinawatra receives royal pardon. 10 killed by Israeli airstrike on residential building. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Jessica Lee. You're watching World Today. Former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra has received a royal pardon, ending his parole today. Now, the earlier release comes as part of a general royal pardon for 7,500 prisoners with good conduct on the occasion of His Majesty the King's birthday last month, according to his lawyer Winyat Chatwari. The pardon was among those announced by the Royal Gazette on Saturday, which stated that a royal decree was issued to grant a royal pardon to around 50,000 inmates. Now, this is in conjunction with King Maha Vajiralongkorn's 6th cycle birthday anniversary on the 28th of July. Thaksin, 74, will be among those released immediately under the terms of this decree, allowing him to leave prison before his sentence ends on the 31st of August. Thaksin returned to Thailand in August last year after a 15-year self-imposed exile after he was handed down a prison sentence for misdeeds committed while in office. On the day of his arrival in Thailand, the Supreme Court sentenced the former Prime Minister to 8 years in prison. His jail term later was reduced to 1 year through royal clemency. This latest development came a day after Thaksin's daughter and leader of the Pheu Thai Party, Paetongtarn, 37, was elected as Thailand's new Prime Minister. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris made dueling campaign stops in the crucial battleground state of Pennsylvania this weekend. A new polling shows the vice president making major gains ahead of her big moment at next week's Democratic National Convention. Speaking at a rally in Pennsylvania, Trump began by blaming Vice President Harris for unleashing devastating inflation, one of the biggest issues of the campaign. The Trump's advisors have publicly urged him to stick to the issues and lay off personal attacks, which they believe play badly with undecided voters. Now, Harris will be in Pennsylvania on Sunday, making several stops on her campaign bus near Pittsburgh before heading to Chicago for the Democratic National Convention that opens on Monday. She hopes to sustain her poll momentum at the 4-day event, which will include keynote speeches from party leaders like Biden and former President Barack Obama. Now, Harris will round out the proceedings on Thursday evening with her own speech to formally accept the party nomination. The 10 Syrians were killed, including 2 children, and 5 were wounded by an Israeli airstrike on a residential building in the city of Nabatea in South Lebanon on Saturday. Now, the final toll of the strike would be announced after DNA tests were conducted to determine the identities of the victims. The Israeli military said the airstrike targeted weapons depot used by Hezbollah fighters. The Israeli army confirmed the strike, stating that its fighter jets targeted several military buildings associated with Hezbollah in the areas of Hanin and Maroun al-Ras. The strike came after ceasefire talks between Hamas fighters and Israel in Doha paused on Friday, with negotiators due to meet again next week. Separately, mourners laid to rest a family of 4 from Syria, including 2 children who were killed in an Israeli strike. The tensions have soared in the region in recent weeks after a rocket strike blamed on Hezbollah killed 12 children and teens in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Israel responded with the killing of a top Hezbollah commander in the suburbs of Beirut. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his forces were strengthening their positions in Russia's Kursk region, where Kiev has been mounting a major ground offensive for more than 11 days. Now, he said this a day after Moscow accused Ukraine of destroying a key bridge over a river in the border region deemed as an attempt to disrupt supply routes and the movement of Moscow's troops in the area. Kiev claims to have taken control of more than 80 settlements, including the key town of Sudza, in its lightning incursion, which caught the Kremlin off guard. Russian officials on Friday accused Ukraine of striking a strategically important bridge a few kilometers away from fighting in the Kursk region. Now, Russia also accused Ukraine of dropping an explosive charge near the occupied Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. The plant, seized by Russia's forces early in the war, has come under repeated attacks for which each side has blamed the other. While Ukraine's incursion into Russia has boosted to Kiev, it appears to have had little impact on the larger battles raging in Russian-occupied parts of eastern Ukraine. Zelensky said soldiers are doing everything to destroy the occupier and repel the attacks, stressing the situation was under control. The safety at Ukraine's Zaporizhia nuclear power plant is deteriorating following a drone strike that hit a perimeter access road on Saturday, according to International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi. The Russian management of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant said a Ukraine drone dropped an explosive charge on a road used by staff. Russia has been in control of the Zaporizhia site, the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, since soon after it launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Now, the plant is dormant as Moscow and Kiev had repeatedly accused each other of trying to sabotage its operations and endangering safety around the plant. Now, the impact site was close to the essential cooling water sprinkler ponds and about 100 meters from Dniprovska's power line, the only remaining 750 kilovolt line providing a power supply to the plant. The report said there were no casualties and no impact on any nuclear power plant equipment. However, there was impact to the road between the two main gates of the plant. The attack comes as Ukraine continues an incursion into Russia, claiming to have taken control of 82 settlements over an area of 1,150 square kilometers in the Kursk region since the 6th of August. Coming up next, Venezuela's political unrest continues as opposition marches in streets. Venezuela's political opposition and its supporters gathered in cities around the country on Saturday to demand recognition of what they say is their candidate's resounding victory in a presidential vote nearly 3 weeks ago. The country's electoral authority, considered by the opposition to be an arm of the ruling party, has said President Nicolas Maduro won his third term in the July 28 contest with just under 52% of the vote. But the opposition, led by former lawmaker Maria Corina Machado, has published online what it says are 83% of voting machine tallies, which give its candidate Edmundo Gonzalez a hearty 67% support. Now, during the demonstration in Caracas, thousands of Venezuelans surrounded a bus carrying Machado and other members of the opposition. Hours earlier, Gonzalez released a video where he reiterated the opposition's desire for a peaceful transition, adding that they would not surrender to the Maduro government. Now, forest fire that erupted in Turkey's western port city of Izmir has reached residential areas, prompting hundreds of residents to evacuate. Now, the fire that started in the Karşıyaka district entered its third day, leading to the evacuation of 3 neighborhoods. Agriculture and Forestry Minister Ibrahim Yumakli warned citizens that very low humidity, extremely high winds and high temperatures are expected for the entire coming week.
Etkilenen alan Bunun içerisine özellikle söylüyorum İzmir için, Yamanlar için. Kırsal alanlar var, yani açık alanlar var. Orman alanından bahsetmiyorum. Komple etkilenen alan yaklaşık 1600 hektar civarında.
There were 72 fires across the country, with 45 under control and efforts ongoing to address the remaining 27. A local daily reported that the number of evacuated citizens has reached 900. According to Health Ministry data, there were no casualties so far. The photos shared online also showed the fire had reached animal barns, urging city residents to help rescue the animals. Social media platform X, formerly Twitter, will shutter its local operations in Brazil following a bitter legal tussle over the platform's rights and responsibilities. Now, owner Elon Musk said the service, however, will remain available to Brazilian users. The closure was the apparent culmination of an ongoing legal battle between Musk and Brazilian Supreme Court Judge Alexander de Moraes, who has said he's trying to fight the spread of dangerous disinformation online. Now, X claims Moraes secretly threatened one of the company's legal representatives in Brazil with arrest if it did not comply with legal orders to take down some content from its platform. Moraes had spearheaded the battle against disinformation in South America's largest nation, in which Musk and other critics have said Moraes is part of a sweeping crackdown of free speech. Earlier this year, Moraes ordered X to block certain accounts as he investigates so-called digital militias that have been accused of spreading fake news and hate messages during the government of far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro. Musk responded that while X might lose its Brazilian revenue, principles matter more than profit. Chinese electric vehicle giant BYD has announced plans to open a car production plant in Pakistan. Now, it will also start selling 3 models through a partnership with Mega Motors. BYD is the first major new electric vehicle entrant in the Pakistani market, where there is a lack of charging infrastructure. Now, BYD also plans to open 3 flagship stores and experience centers in Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad, adding it plans to start selling 2 SUV models and a sedan from the 4th quarter of 2024. Now, Mega Motors is a unit of Pakistan's largest private utility hub power company limited, known as HUBCO. The new plant will begin operations in 2026. Now, HUBCO will set up fast charging stations across major cities, motorways and highways to enhance Pakistan's charging infrastructure. Hurricane Ernesto pounded Bermuda on Saturday with powerful winds and waves reaching up to 10 meters tall, while drenching the British island territory with rain that could produce deadly flooding. Power was out for more than 70% of the territory's 36,000 customers. The eye of the storm passed over the west end of the archipelago early Saturday as it moved towards the north-northeast. The United States National Weather Service said as of 11 a.m. local time, it was some 75 kilometers away from Bermuda, with hurricane force winds extending 110 kilometers from the center and tropical storm force winds emanating 390 kilometers. Bermuda was expected to endure several more hours of punishment as the storm crawled north at just 15 kilometers per hour. Now, people in Bermuda reported a temporary calm as the eye of the storm passed overhead. The U.S. Weather Service also said that the center of the storm is forecast to continue moving away from Bermuda on Saturday and approach southeastern Newfoundland late on Monday. Now, more than 20 people were injured Saturday night after a Ferris wheel caught fire at a music festival near the German city of Leipzig. The fire broke out shortly after 9 p.m. on 2 gondolas at the Highfield Festival and was quickly brought under control. The police spokesperson confirmed 4 people were burned, 1 injured in a fall, and another 18 people suffered from smoke inhalation. The members of the police and firefighters responding to the incident were also injured. Now, photos published by German media showed flames engulfing gondolas on the spinning Ferris wheel, with thick black smoke billowing above the ride. Now, all of the injured were transported to a nearby hospital. The Highfield Festival, which bills itself as the largest independent rock festival, attracts thousands of visitors every summer to the shores of man-made lake Stormthaler outside Leipzig. Still to come in sports, Real Madrid considering allowing short holidays for players during season. Manager Carlo Ancelotti said on Saturday that Real Madrid are considering allowing players to go on short holidays during the season because of concerns about the congested fixtures schedule. Now, on the eve of their La Liga season debut at Mallorca, Ancelotti said that the steady increase in regional and international games was on the calendar was taking its toll on the players. After winning the La Liga and Champions League double last season and now bidding for up to 7 titles in the 2024-2025 campaign, Ancelotti believes the club needs to make sacrifices to preserve the health and fitness of their players. He said his staff were already looking at the 2025-2026 season, with the 2026 World Cup in June and July in Canada, Mexico, and the United States putting extra demands on international players. Now, after winning the UEFA Super Cup, Real Madrid will be competing in La Liga, the Champions League, Copa del Rey, and the Spanish Super Cup in Saudi Arabia, plus the FIFA Intercontinental Cup and the new FIFA Club World Cup in the United States. Now, the packed calendar has been a source of concern and heated debate in world soccer over the last few years. Now, in tennis, world number 1 Jannik Sinner advanced to the semi-finals of the Cincinnati Open on Saturday with a 4-6, 7-5, 6-4 win over Russian 6th seed Andrei Rublev. Now, in doing so, the Australian Open champion avenged his quarter-final exit at the hands of Rublev in Montreal last week. Sinner was pushed to the floor by the wind at times, but dug deep and improved as the match went on to earn a tough victory. He crucially saved 2 break points on serve at 3-4 in the second set before he fended off a mini revival from Rublev in the decider to improve to 6-3 in the pair's previous encounters. Now, Sinner is chasing his 3rd ATP Masters 1000 title and first trophy since winning the ATP 500 in Halle on grass in June. Now, standing between Sinner and a 5th career ATP 1000 final is 3rd seed Alexander Zverev after the German outlasted home hopeful Ben Shelton 3-6, 7-6, 7-5. The 2021 Cincinnati champion won 81% of the first serve points while besting Shelton in the unforced error count in challenging conditions to advance to the last 4 for the 2nd straight year. Meanwhile, in the women's draw, Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka earned quarter-final victories at the Cincinnati Open on Saturday to set up the latest installment of their rivalry in the WTA 1000 events semis. Now, world number 1 Swiatek survived a scare from 17-year-old Russian Mira Andreeva to claim a 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 victory. The Pole missed out on 4 break-back opportunities, including 2 when Andreeva was serving for the set. Now, after seeing her serve broken in the opening set, Swiatek rallied back to seal a 10th quarterfinal win of 2024 and 30th victory at the WTA 1000 level. The teenager was immediately broken to start the second set as Swiatek leveled the match and forced a decider. Andreeva earned a breakpoint chance in the very next game game that would have forced a deciding tie break, only for Świątek to hold firm and clinched a hard-fought victory 3 points later. World number 3, Sabalenka, meanwhile, breezed past Russia's Lyudmila Samsonova 6-3, 6-2 in an hour and 20 minutes. Of their 11 previous head-to-head encounters, Świątek has dominated her rivalry with Sabalenka, winning 8 matches, including the finals of the Madrid and Italian Open this season. Two-time MotoGP champion Francesco Bagnaia won the Austrian Grand Prix sprint on Saturday to go level on points with Pramac Racing's Jorge Martin at the top of the World Championship, as 6 times MotoGP champion Marc Marquez crashed. The Italian Ducati rider's victory at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg moved him up to 250 points alongside Martin ahead of Sunday's race. Having clinched pole with a lap record after going fastest in qualifying, Martin was slow getting away when the lights went out, while Bagnaia turned on the aggression as soon as he shot off the line. Martin received a long lap penalty for failing to lose 1 second after cutting the chicane at turn 2 and finished second, and he had looked on course to finish third until Marquez crashed out with 4 laps remaining. Now, there was no stopping Bagnaia once Martin's penalty had been served, and he opened up a sizable gap over the Spaniard and crossed the finish line well ahead of the chasing pack. Alex Espargaro made up a place to finish third and take his second sprint podium. Inia Bastianini, Jack Miller, Franco Morbidelli, Brad Binder, Marco Bezzecchi and Paul Espargaro were the other riders in the points. American Brandon McNulty won a thrilling opening stage time trial at the Vuelta a España by 2 seconds on Saturday. The flat 12 kilometers blast around Lisbon was won by UAE Team Emirates rider McNulty in 12 minutes 35 seconds, with Czech Matthias Vacek second in 12 minutes 37 seconds. Italian early starter Eduardo Fino had led for a long time but ended up 5th, 8 seconds down. Belgium's Wout van Aert Team Visma Lease looked like topping the timesheets but had to settle for third in the standings, 3 seconds behind McNulty. Defending champion Sepp Kuss finished 53 seconds behind, losing time to other general classification favourites, including 3 times winner Primož Roglič, who was 8th, 17 seconds slower than McNulty. Now McNulty will get to wear the red jersey in Sunday's hilly 194 kilometers second stage from Kaikas to Oram.
Just had super good legs. I've been feeling really good in training, especially I really went for the Olympics, and since then I've had good legs. So yeah, I knew I could do something good, but I didn't expect to win.
RC planes take to the skies, and Hong Kong welcomes the birth of their first 2 panda cubs. Up next in our Offbeat segment. The skies above the Slovenian town of Lecce were filled with remote control aircrafts as modelers and pilots of RC planes gathered at the Model Building Club Lecce annual air show. According to the organizers, large model aircraft of all shapes and sizes attracted pilots and about 1,500 visitors from across the country and abroad. Matthias Planisek, the club's president and event organizer, said the models with a 1:3 ratio, translating to a wingspan of 3 meters, were the most popular at the show.
Danes imamo, mislim, da 28 modelarjev prijavljenih modelov, se pravi točk pravzaprav, ne? Ker ene točke so tudi skupinske modelarjev, ki so že v solo točki tudi prijavljeni. To nam zapolni nekje 6 ur programa. Kar se tiče modelov, Glavne zvezde so jet modeli, nekje razmerje 1:3 je nekje najbolj popularno, se pravi, to je okrog 3 metre čez krila, to je to, kar zdaj slišimo, vidimo in je zelo atraktivno. Se pravi, tle gledalci stojijo 30 metrov stran od zletanja, se pravi, če to zmnožimo krat 3, bi bilo, kot bi gledali pravo letalo na 90 metrov.
A variety of large-scale model aircraft was showcased at the event, including a vintage F-86 Sabre plane from post-war Yugoslavia and a Futura plane, which was not based on any existing aircraft. A team of UK divers has hailed the discovery of a wreck off Scotland believed to be a Royal Navy warship sunk during World War I, but still virtually intact. The team found what it thinks is HMS Hawke, which sank after being hit by a German torpedo in October 1914 in the North Sea earlier this week. Now lost in waters deep, a group which searches for World War I shipwrecks in Scottish waters spearheaded the years-long effort to find the warship. The team is now awaiting official confirmation from the Royal Navy after providing it with their findings. Only 70 of HMS Hawke's crew survived, while more than 500 died after it was attacked by a German U-boat in the early months of World War I. The warship, an Edgar-class cruiser first launched in 1891, was 387 feet long and 60 feet wide. It caught fire, exploded, and then disappeared beneath the murky waters of the North Sea off northeast Scotland in less than 8 minutes. The vessel has rested on the seabed 360 feet down ever since. Hong Kong this week announced the birth of a set of giant panda twins, the first cubs to be born in the city. Ying Ying, who delivered the male and female cubs on the eve of her 19th birthday, has become the oldest giant panda to successfully give birth for the first time. The cubs were born in the early hours of Thursday after a nearly 5-month pregnancy. Ying Ying and the twins' father Lele were first gifted to Hong Kong by Beijing in 2007 and successfully mated in March at Ocean Park, the theme park that houses them. The mother and her cubs will be monitored round the clock by the park's veterinary teams and experts from the China Conservation and Research Center for the giant panda. The giant pandas are notoriously reluctant to mate, which zoologists say contributes to the dwindling population of the species, with an estimated 1,800 of them left in the wild. A Panamanian coffee broke records by reaching $10,013 per kilo in an online auction last week, surpassing the price of $10,005 achieved last year. The Lamastus family's Elida Geisha Natural Vuelta coffee, grown in Panama, was purchased by Japanese company Sasa Coffee at the Best of Panama Auction 2024.
Este geisha, el geisha natural de Vuelta. Vuelta está localizado en la finca Elida de la Lamastus Family Estate a mucha altura, con mucha biodiversidad, suelos volcánicos, microclima, vegetación y las manos nuestras, de nuestros colaboradores, la tradición de 106 años que nosotros hemos llegado ya casi que a perfeccionar lo que quiere el cliente exigente alrededor del mundo, en Tokio, en Shanghai, en Korea.
And that wraps up today's edition of World Today. In our top story, Thaksin Shinawatra receives royal pardon. Join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on Saluran Berita RTM and TV1 for more news updates. I'm Jessica Lee, Malaysia Madani, Jiwa Merdeka. Have a lovely Sunday.